Circulatory system. Purposes: move blood, similar fluid through the body to transport oxygen and nutrients to cells, remove cell waste and carbon dioxide, helps to regulate body temperature, balance in homeostasis, fights infections.
Your heart is a pump. It's a muscular organ about the size of your fist and is located slightly left of center in your chest. Your heart is divided into the right and left side. The division protects oxygen-rich blood from mixing with oxygen-poor blood. Together, your heart and blood vessels comprise your cardiovascular system, which circulates blood and oxygen around your body. In fact, your heart pumps about 5 quarts of blood every minute, and it beats about 100,000 times in one day. That's about 35 million times in a year. Oxygen-poor blood, blue blood, returns to the heart after circulating through your body. The right side of the heart, composed of the right atrium and ventricle, collects and pumps the blood to the lungs.
Parts: heart, muscle, arteries, veins, capillaries, blood vessels, blood cells. Heart. The heart is a muscle in the human body that pumps blood to all the cells.
The inferior vena cava. Contraction of the right atrium in each cardiac cycle forces blood into the right ventricle. This is followed by contraction of the right ventricle, which pumps blood into the pulmonary artery, sending it on through the blood vessels of the lungs. As the right ventricle contracts and pressure within the right ventricle rises, the tricuspid valve situated at the opening between the right atrium and right ventricle shuts, preventing any backflow. The pressure generated by contraction of the right ventricle soon opens the pulmonary valve and blood enters the circulation of the lungs. After passing through the circulation of the lungs, the blood, having been recharged,
Blood vessels, blood cells, red blood cells, the most common type of blood cell. They deliver oxygen to the body tissue through blood streams.
Blood is the largest organ in our body. 10 pints of life force, coursing through thousands of miles of arteries, veins, and capillaries. Those blood vessels carry blood to every other organ, keeping them functioning and thriving. Our red blood cells carry oxygen and nutrients.
Blood vessels, arteries, they carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. Veins, they carry desoxygenated blood from body tissue back to the heart. Capillaries, the smallest blood vessel in the body, they navigate the exchange of water.
there are 3 main kinds of blood vessels: arteries, capillaries, and veins. Arteries are large blood vessels that carry blood from your heart to the rest of your body. This blood is rich in oxygen and nutrients. As arteries get farther away from the heart, they begin to branch and become smaller and smaller. The smallest branches are called capillaries, and this is where the oxygen in your blood is transferred to your tissues. In exchange, the wastes from your cells, including carbon dioxide, are transferred into the blood. Just beyond this area,
Functions. Heart pumps blood throughout the body. Arteries carry blood away from heart. Veins carry blood to heart. Capillaries bring nutrients and oxygen to tissue, carry out carbon dioxide and waste. The circulatory system consists of 2 circuits in which the blood travels.
all cells need oxygen. It is the essential fuel which is necessary to enable cells to stay alive and to carry out their various activities. Bringing oxygen to the cells requires the uptake of oxygen from the air in the lungs, its transportation in the blood, and its delivery to cells all over the body. The first step is the taking up of oxygen by blood flowing through fine capillaries in the walls of the lungs' air sacs, or alveoli. The oxygen molecules change from their state as a gas freely circulates.
Pulmonary systematic circuits. Pulmonary circuit. It carries blood to the lungs to be oxygenated, then back to the heart. In the lungs, carbon dioxide is removed from the blood, and oxygen is added to the blood. Words with respiratory, nervous, muscular, excretory, and digestive system. Circulation below.
Hi, it's Mr. Anderson. I was just checking my pulse to make sure that I'm still alive, and I am. Going at about 60 beats per minute, and it'll continue doing that throughout the podcast and hopefully throughout the rest of my life, because the circulatory system is important. It moves oxygen around my body, it moves carbon dioxide out of my body, it moves nutrients to the cells in my body, and so we need it to keep beating, and it does, something that we kind of take for granted. Before we get to the elements of the human circulatory system, you should know that there are different types of circulatory systems. In things like insects and spiders, they don't have blood per se. They have something called hemolymph, and that hemolymph is going to be both blood and what's called interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid
Thank you.